Howdy, folks. I'm Wandering Will-O-Wisp, wearily winding through woeful wildernesses.
I'm Amber.
And here are more woeful wildernesses for us to float like globes of light through. So let's get started on that. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Cracking Open a Beer in front of my mother-in-law after she tried humiliating my dad for drinking? My mother-in-law is a 64-year-old, and she is a very opinionated person when it comes to alcohol. No one knows why. There are no alcoholics in the family, and she isn't religious. Some of her kids say that is a control thing. Who knows? She basically just tells my husband, a 36-year-old, every chance that he gets that he needs to stop drinking because he's going to be an alcoholic, or tells him that he needs to quote-unquote control me because I drink, and she feels that I'm going to coerce my husband into drinking. Do keep in mind that my husband has a few beers maybe once or twice a month and could make a six-pack last week's. If she quote-unquote catches him drinking, she goes up one side of him and down the other about how he needs therapy or AA. Now she's found out that I was having my dad over for dinner yesterday, after a discussion that she was having with my husband. She asks him near every night what his plans are, and decided on a whim that she was going to come over as well. She didn't tell us, and considered it a quote-unquote surprise visit. Her behavior regarding how enmeshed she tries to be with my husband is a topic for another day. She's toxic as well. But anyways, she shows up here, and my dad was having a few beers, and we were just chatting in the kitchen when mother-in-law rolls in. She instantly turns her nose up at my dad because he's drinking. I notice it, and my father and husband did not. She doesn't say anything originally, but after about a half hour, my father grabbed another beer, and mother-in-law said something like, "Don't you think that you had enough? I'm very uncomfortable with your drinking around me. It's rude." I was honestly just having a petty moment, and I grabbed myself a beer as soon as she started cornering my father and trying to humiliate him. She does not know my dad. He has only met him once, so I grab a beer and I start drinking it while staring at her. She starts grabbing her stuff and walks out. She was saying something to the effect of, "Lord forbid I try to have a nice dinner with my son." Well, after she storms out, my husband just kind of looked over at me with raised eyebrows and shook his head before turning away to excuse himself to the bedroom. Things got awkward after that, and my dad left within 20 minutes. I tried talking to my husband about it, and all he would say was that I was being childish, and if I just had given him 3 seconds, he would have handled his mother. But realistically, when mother-in-law was humiliating my father, my husband was literally just sitting there, staring at the ground with his hands in his pockets. I gave it at least 30 seconds from her not talking to me to decide to grab a beer, and my husband hadn't said anything, so I really don't think that he was going to. That, and she wasn't invited. My dad was. I can't tell if I'm in the wrong here or not. Alright, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not in the wrong. The audacity of this woman to, one, invite herself into your home, and then two, start dictating how everything goes. However, you have a bigger issue. You have a husband issue. His mom was not invited to dinner. She invited herself, and then started berating another guest for having a drink. None of that's appropriate, and the husband being like, "Oh, well, I would have done something." I think the fact that he's done nothing all along shows exactly, you know what would have happened. So I think that you need to have a serious talk with your husband and tell him that he needs to get his mom in line, or you're going to keep doing this sort of thing.
You know, mother-in-law is allowed to be uncomfortable with people drinking around her, but in that case, she needs to remove herself and not try to tell people what to do with themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
If she was uncomfortable in this situation, sure, she can voice some kind of thing and say, "Hey, I'm not comfortable being around people who drink. I'm going to excuse myself," or something like that, right? But she doesn't have a right to try and control people and tell them that they can't drink, right? So I think that, like Amber said, the husband needed to step up and actually say something. He wasn't going to intervene. This is just kind of he's trying to use OP as a scapegoat so that he doesn't have to deal with the fallout from his mother, because it sounds like his mother's going to berate him now about having a terrible wife and a terrible father-in-law.
Well, it sounds like he doesn't even want to use Opie as a scapegoat. He just wants to let his mom have free reign, and he's upset that, oh, how dare Opie challenge his mom.
And that could be the case too. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Gemma James II says, it's a toss-up. I'm kind of side-eyeing you and your perception of reality, to be honest. There exists a world in which your mother-in-law is overbearing and rude, but that same world could also include you and your family having a severe problem drinking and you unable to recognize it. Is she a control freak with trauma from addiction to her past? Are you and your dad, and to a lesser extent your husband, addicts who use alcohol in an unhealthy way? Who can say really? Only time will tell. And OP replies, no, laughing my butt off, having a few drinks a few times a month is not an alcohol problem. And I wasn't even drinking until she made a comment. If I had a drinking problem, I would have been drinking long before that. And to be blunt, even if me or my father had a drinking problem, she came into my home uninvited and started berating a man that she doesn't even know. And no, there's no addiction in her past or present. Per all of her family's admission, she's just a control freak. I do want to point out that alcohol is one of the most widely abused drugs out there, and that it is one of the most, it is a very addictive substance as well, right? And it can be easy for people to not see that they do have a problem with drinking. It doesn't sound like OP or their husband actually has a drinking problem.
Well, that's it. Like, if 6 packs are lasting for weeks, like, that means like a beer or two a week.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's not generally considered a sign of abuse.
Yeah. And Mo's mom, 22, says, honey, she's winning. She got to come over. She ruined your dad's visit. She has you second guessing yourself. And the best part for her is your husband is mad at you. She is very good. Your husband is purposely ignoring your needs, actively choosing his mother over you. Ugh, I'm so bothered by this, as my mother-in-law is awful as well. I feel so bad for your dad. Poor guy. He got caught in the line of fire. Why do you have to accept his mother in your home? This is literally an emotional war. You do not have to invite the enemy into a safe place. He can go stay with her while you and him go to therapy. You can't possibly be so in love with him that you are willing to accept this kind of treatment, right? And OP replies, it's honestly very hard for me because my husband is actually such a great person and I'm very much in love with him. But when I met my husband, his mother never contacted him and he hadn't seen her in nearly 2 years. I met her when I was with my husband roughly 6 weeks because I got pregnant unexpectedly. His mom came flying out of the woodwork and trying to build a relationship with her son. She didn't raise him. His dad did. She didn't even have visitation more than a few times from age 10ish to 16. I miscarried 9 weeks later, and all of a sudden she vanishes again. Then, when we announced years later that we got engaged, she came back with vengeance and insisted on mommy-son dates, etc. And then when I got pregnant 3 years ago with our daughter, it got 50 times worse. So having seen him during the periods of his mom not being around and having an influence on him, I can 100% say that I am not ready to give up on him. I truly feel that where his mother is so prone to just walking away and essentially ghosting her son at random, he is just desperate to keep the peace. That, and she is always saying things like, I won't be around forever, and talks about the stroke that she had 10 years ago and the brain tumor she had 30 years ago, and she uses these medical issues to scare my husband and coax him, and basically bending to her whim because he genuinely thinks that his mother is going to drop dead because of how she talks. So it's extremely unfortunate, but I know that it's just not something that I will leave him over. I have seen the manipulation. It would mess with me too, you know? Well, I think they need couples therapy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what she's doing is not okay.
Yeah.
And he has to recognize that his mom is an adult and she can make her own choices, but his obligations are to his wife and child.
Mm-hmm.
He has a new family unit now who are counting on him.
Yep. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for How I Reacted to My Boyfriend's Diamond Gift? Me and my boyfriend had a plan to go ring shopping together, mostly to learn about diamonds and figure out my taste. I kept asking, but I felt like nothing was happening, so I eventually gave up, until one day, randomly he said, let's go to DC. Well, we went to every single jewelry store to find my favorite stone, emerald cut, VVS, hidden halo. I even taught him that buying a loose diamond and then putting it in a setting is cheaper for the same quality. Well, fast forward to last weekend, and I told him that I'm sorry that you spent a lot of money today. And he said, not that you know of. And at that point, I started to get excited. We also have a trip in 2 months, so I thought, okay, this is probably happening. I even started getting my nails done every week just in case. And then I came home and there was a loose diamond on the counter with the exact same specs that I wanted for the ring. The same exact specs that I wanted for my ring. I said, oh, I thought it would be a surprise, but it's fine. We can put it in a setting and still make it a surprise. And he goes, oh no, I'll surprise you for that. I just got this because you've been into diamonds lately. It's a gift. You can make a necklace or something. Like what? I couldn't even hide my reaction. I told him, you literally got the exact specs that I wanted for my engagement ring. This feels like a shut up diamond. And he responded, oh, I wanted to do something nice. I asked him to return it. I don't know. Keep it until you want to propose. I didn't say that part, but dude, it's an emerald cut and it's my dream ring stone. First, why did you ruin it for me? And second, it doesn't go well in a necklace or a bracelet. I genuinely don't know what to do with this diamond. It's ruined the whole thing for me. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, this one is a weird one. I understand OP's frustration here, but I also, it seems like the partner is genuinely trying to do something nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone is fully in the wrong here, I think maybe OP and the partner just need to sit down and talk a little bit more about what their expectations are, because it seems like they both are coming from he's coming from a place of good intentions, even as misguided as it may be. I may not understand what goes into getting a piece of jewelry, a diamond set in a piece of jewelry. That it's not like you just walk into a jeweler and are like, make me something. I mean, I guess you could be, but like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that Opie's in the wrong for being upset because it is weird, but I also don't think he's necessarily in the wrong. Sounds like he's trying to be nice.
So, again, like, I don't think that he is actually being malicious here. It sounds like he took OP's interest in the diamond as, like, literally
Literal.
an interest in a diamond. Like, oh, I'm going to get her a diamond. That's what she wants, right? So I think that there is a communication issue here. And I do agree with you. They need to sit down and maybe even they need to go into couples therapy to kind of talk about things and expectations and maybe even the direction of the relationship, right? Or maybe he's messing with her. Who knows, right? I don't know. But it's an odd situation, and I think that it would be good for OP to get clarification and to communicate more clearly with him. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And watch water till it boils says, not the jerk. Diamond shopping means one thing. Maybe he's messing with you to surprise you later? And OP replies, definitely not. He asked me if I wanted to put it on a necklace or something like that. And the MCat says, I'm a little confused by all these jerk comments. I may be downvoted here, but not the jerk. This is such an emotional roller coaster. Who gets their girlfriend the exact stone that they asked for right after a ring shopping and then just says, just kidding, not for the ring though? With all the millions of gifts in the world, it just feels like a cruel thing to give you such an emotionally charged item and then tell you it's for something else. He could have gotten you a loose emerald or an actual necklace, and then it would have been an obvious gift, and you wouldn't be here. This feels confusing and willfully ignorant on his part. I would be upset too. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What is a seismic event's favorite dessert?
I would say a lava cake.
A cheese quake.
Oh.
And it's National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day.
Oh, so find yourself a pumpkin cheesecake. That sounds delicious. And I have licorice spice. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, terrific Tuesday, spelled TWO. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on loose cut diamonds.
Maybe don't just randomly give your partner a diamond. Like, it's hard to do anything with just a diamond on its own. I don't know. But also don't necessarily assume malice. It could be your partner's just clueless.
Make sure to buy your partner a diamond pouch of tiny little diamonds to give them. The little tiny bag. That's my advice. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!